Asterisk, the snow fell gently on Fifth Avenue that December morning, each flake catching the warm glow of the cafe windows. Robert Harrison adjusted his wool coat and stepped carefully along the sidewalk, his polished leather shoes finding purchase. On the salt-scattered pavement at 58, he had learned to appreciate these quiet moments before the business day began. Asterisk, he paused outside Morrison's Cafe. Drawn by the familiar comfort of steaming coffee and the promise of a few minutes of solitude. Through the window, he could see the usual morning crowd, commuters clutching their phones, retirees reading newspapers, young mothers juggling toddlers and lattes. Asterisk, as Robert settled into his favorite corner table. He noticed the boy immediately. Asterisk, 10 years old, maybe 11, with sandy hair that needed cutting and clothes that had seen better days. The child sat on a small wooden box near the cafe's entrance, a tattered shoeshine kit beside him. His thin jacket offered little protection against the December chill, and his small hands were red with cold. Asterisk, please. Sir, the boy called out to passersby, his voice carrying a tremor that might have been from nerves or the weather. Shoeshine, just $10, please. Asterisk, Robert watched as businessman after businessman walked past, some with polite nods, others with studied indifference. The boy's shoulders sagged with each rejection, but he straightened them again, ready for the next. Potential customer. Asterisk, there was something about the child's persistence that stirred something in Robert's chest. He remembered being that age, remembered the weight of responsibility that sometimes fell on young shoulders when life didn't go according to plan. The boy looked up as Robert approached, hope flickering in his brown eyes. Asterisk, $10 for a shoeshine, Robert asked gently, settling onto the small cafe chair nearby. Asterisk, yes, sir. I do good work, I promise. The boy's voice was earnest, professional despite his youth. My name's Danny Sullivan. Asterisk, Robert extended his foot, noting how carefully Danny arranged his supplies. The boy's movements were practiced, methodical. This wasn't his first day at this work. Asterisk, you're very young to be working, Robert observed. Not unkindly, asterisk, Danny's hand stilled for just a moment. I'm 12, he said, adding 2 years with the confidence of someone who had told this lie before. And I'm good at this. My grandpa taught me. Asterisk, Robert nodded, watching as Danny began his work. The boy's technique was indeed skilled. He applied the polish with care, his small hands moving in confident circles. There was pride in his work, despite the circumstances. Asterisk, it's pretty cold out here, Robert said. Have you been here long? Asterisk, since 6 this morning, Danny replied, not looking up from his task. The early commuters sometimes need their shoes done before big meetings. Asterisk, 6 in the morning. Robert's voice carried gentle surprise. That's very early for someone your age. Asterisk, Danny's cheeks reddened, and not from the cold. I need the money, he said quietly. It's important. Asterisk, Robert studied the boy's face, the determined set of his jaw, the way his eyes focused intently on the task at hand. There was something desperate in his diligence, something that spoke of necessity rather than entrepreneurial spirit. Asterisk, what's so important about the money, Danny? Asterisk, the boy's hands trembled slightly as he reached for his polishing cloth. For a moment, Robert thought he might not answer. When Danny finally spoke, his voice was barely above a whisper. Asterisk, it's for my mom. She's sick. Asterisk, Robert felt his heart tighten. He had sensed there was more to this story, but hearing it spoken aloud made it real in a way that observation couldn't. Asterisk, what kind of sick? Robert asked gently. Asterisk, Danny's lower lip trembled. The doctors say she needs medicine, expensive medicine. And we don't have insurance anymore since Dad died last year. Asterisk, the words hung in the cold air between them like visible breath. Robert found himself remembering his own father, who had worked 3 jobs to keep the family afloat after his mother's illness. He remembered the weight of watching a parent struggle, the helpless feeling of being too young to really help. Asterisk, how much medicine money do you need? Robert asked. Asterisk, $200, Danny said, his voice breaking slightly. The pharmacy said they'd hold it for 3 more days, but after that, he didn't finish the sentence. Asterisk, Robert's throat tightened. $200. A sum that would barely register in his monthly expenses, but might as well have been $1 million to this boy sitting in the snow, polishing shoes for $10 at a time. Asterisk, how much have you saved so far? Asterisk, Danny reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a small, worn envelope. His fingers, red from cold, counted out crumpled bills. $38, he said, and Robert could hear both pride and desperation in his voice. Asterisk, Danny, Robert said softly, look at me. Asterisk, the boy raised his eyes, and Robert saw in them the same look he remembered from his own. Childhood, the weight of responsibility that no child should have to carry alone. Asterisk, tell me about your mom. What's her name? Asterisk, Sarah. Sarah Sullivan. Danny's voice grew stronger when he spoke about her. She's the best mom in the world. She used to work at the library, but she got too sick to go anymore. She tries to hide it, but I can see how much. She hurts. Asterisk, Robert nodded, understanding flooding through him. He had watched his own mother hide her pain, had seen the forced smiles and the way she would send him to play outside. When the medication made her too sick to pretend anymore, asterisk, and you've been doing this every day, asterisk, after school and on weekends, sometimes I skip lunch to come here during the day. Danny's honesty was heartbreaking in its simplicity. Asterisk, Robert reached into his coat pocket and pulled out his wallet. Danny's eyes widened as he counted out bills. Asterisk, this is $200, Robert said, holding out the money. For your mother's medicine. Asterisk, Danny stared at the bills as if they might disappear. I can't take that. I have to earn it. Have to finish your shoes. Asterisk, your shoes are perfect, Robert said gently. And you have earned this, Danny. You've earned it with every cold morning you've sat out here, with every rejection you've faced, with every moment you've put your mother's needs before your own comfort. Asterisk, tears began to roll down Danny's cheeks, cutting warm tracks through the cold flush of his skin. But it's too much. I don't have anything to give you back. Asterisk, Robert knelt down beside the boy, his voice gentle but firm. Sometimes, Danny, the most important gifts we can give or receive don't require anything in return. They just require recognizing when someone needs help and being able to help them. Asterisk, Danny looked up at him through his tears. Why would you do this for us? You don't even know us. Asterisk, Robert smiled, thinking of his own journey, the struggles, the people who had helped him along the way, the responsibility he felt to pass that kindness forward. Asterisk, because 30 years ago, I was a boy who needed help too, and someone helped me, and now I'm in a position to help you. Asterisk, Danny carefully folded the money and put it in his envelope. Thank you, he whispered. Thank you so much. Asterisk, there's one condition, Robert said. You have to promise me you'll go to school instead of coming here. Your education is important, Danny. More important than you realize right now. Asterisk, Danny nodded eagerly. I promise I'll go to school every day. Asterisk, Robert stood and buttoned his coat. And Danny, if your mother needs anything else, anything at all, you call me. He handed the boy his business card. My office number is on there, and my cell phone number too. Asterisk, as Robert walked away, he turned back once to see Danny still sitting there, staring at the envelope in his hands as if it contained miracles. And perhaps it did. 3 weeks later, Robert received a hand-drawn card in the mail. It was from Danny with a photo of him and his mother. Sarah Sullivan was a thin woman with kind eyes and her son's gentle smile. Her color was better than Robert had expected, and she was sitting up in what looked like a comfortable chair by a window. Asterisk, the card read, Dear Mr. Harrison, the medicine is working. I'm going to school every day like I promised. Thank you for believing in me. Love, Danny and Mom. Asterisk, Robert placed the card on his desk where he could see it every day. It reminded him that kindness isn't measured in dollars. It's measured in the difference it makes in someone's life. Asterisk, and sometimes that difference is everything. Asterisk, the snow continued to fall outside his office window. But Robert no longer saw it as just another winter day. He saw it as the kind of day when miracles happen, when the simple act of stopping to listen, to see, to care, can change everything. For both the giver and the receiver, because that's what kindness does. It changes everyone it touches, creating ripples of compassion that spread far beyond the original act. Asterisk, and in a world that often feels harsh and cold, those ripples of warmth become the very thing that keeps us human.